How often do you hear the message to let it go, and mentally you get it and you try, but emotionally it is so hard? And I mean with both like huge things and tiny things. You know that you need to let it go. When the massive life-altering things happen, like losing a job or a relationship or a piece of your identity. Because, what else can you do? We can't survive by clutching the waves that have rolled by, and we know that we should let it go. But emotionally, it's nearly impossible. Your mind can let go maybe, but your heart and your body, it's another thing. And even with the tiny things, of course, you know you need to let it go. Like the little insults and the micro threats and the thoughtlessness of this world. Even the direct meanness of this world. What can we do? We cannot survive swatting at every mosquito in the neighborhood. We know that we should let it go. But emotionally, sometimes it's nearly impossible. Your mind maybe can let it go, but all that buzzing, it tightens the body and the heart into this defensive clutch. And that is very normal. We are all very good at doing that, but it's not healthy. It's normal, but not healthy. And there is this spiritual practice. It is ancient and mystical that we now refer to as detachment. Detachment. Very simply, detachment is just separating our true identity in God from outcomes and from temporary things. So separating our true identity in God from all the temporary stuff. And we have to practice detachment daily. In a mental, conscious, cerebral, top-down way. We have to practice detachment so that it permeates our body and our soul. We use the detachment discipline as a resource for our spiritual health, and then it becomes a habit that protects us when every temporary thing inevitably falls apart. Practicing detachment. Detachment is a sister of surrender. They walk hand in hand, detachment and surrender. And they're the foundation of our relationship with God and our discernment of God's will. And accordingly, they are stunningly simple disciplines. Very simple. Yes, there are nuances, but both surrender and detachment can be summed up in the first line of the prayer that Jesus taught his followers. Hallowed be your name. Hallowed be your name. What are you worshiping? What are you truly holding on to? What are you gripping? What are you desperately trying to glorify? Instead of, this is lovely, but instead of focusing on our faults, focusing on our mistakes, Jesus just redirects our minds and our souls toward God's name. Hallowed be your name. We all worship your name. We surrender everything to you. We detach from the temporary because we want to be in your presence. Hallowed. We all worship your name. Okay, here's a very short quip of an answer to the question, how can I let it go? Don't worry about letting things go. Just intentionally hold on to the forever things. And your spirit will take care of your grip issues. But let's explore the nuance of this very mystical concept of God's name. God's name. It's actually, I think, probably a bad cultural translation for Americans in this century. Probably a better translation would be, hallowed be your being. Hallowed be your creative becoming. That's actually what the name Yahweh means. I am, or I am becoming, or creating creator. That's a whole lovely meditation just on those two mysterious syllables. But to explore detachment more, let's jump back to an ancient prayer. We call it now Psalm 61. It's another of these songs of the enslaved, held by this traumatized people who had lost everything. They're trapped in Babylon's evil empire, and they sang this prayer together. Psalm 61. It begins with, "Hear my cry, God. Give your attention to my prayer from the end of the earth." And here, of course, I mean, that's where they are. They're at the figurative end of the earth with nothing but enslavement to hold on to, nothing to stand on. They have no identity at all from the ends of the earth. And y'all, I'm sorry to say it, but we will all be there. We will all be at the ends of the earth. Some of us for just the final moments before death. Some of us for months. Some of us for many, many years. We will be at the end of the earth and powerless. And so these ancient prayers, these disciplines, they're so important to practice in our minds and our consciousness so they can be fully absorbed by our bodies and souls for when our mind doesn't work. For when we are overwhelmed by our powerlessness. What I mean is practice spiritual detachment now so that your body and spirit can be the ready learners they want to be. The prayer continues. I call you when my heart is faint. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. For you have been a refuge for me, a tower of strength against the enemy. We cannot pretend that we are the higher ground. We cannot pretend that we are the rock. And God responds powerfully to this prayer. Show me, God, true safety. Show me, God, true strength. I don't have it, but it's okay. God, you do. And the prayer goes on. Let me dwell in your meeting place forever. Let me take refuge in the shelter of your wings, for you have heard my vows, God. Now, if you've never seen baby birds or little chicks nestle into the safety of their mother's wings, it is a lovely thing. And this is the core spiritual action of detachment. We'd say, I am under threat, but that does not define me. Your safe wings define me. Or on the opposite side, we know that I can make it in this world. I can successfully find nutrients and life, but that does not define me. Your safe wings define me. And then the prayer has this stunning line. It says, you have given me the inheritance of those who fear your name. You've given me the inheritance of those who fear your name. Remember, this song is a song of the enslaved. The ones who had been wrenched traumatically away from their homes. They have no inheritance. It has all been lost. They have nothing to receive and nothing to pass on to their children. And yet, here is a mysterious claim to an inheritance. And it is found just by stepping into the being, into the name of God. Thousands of years later, Christians will experience this move as the adoption spirit. And they discover that to claim this inheritance in God, you actually have to give up your earthly inheritance. You have to detach from your temporary identity to participate in God's forever name. All of these temporary things, we will lose them. You will lose your job. You will make huge mistakes. You will be insulted and forgotten. You will it's good to see you, man. We all are going to see mortality tear apart our most beloved relationships. It's just true. And ultimately, you will lose your breath and your heartbeat and your consciousness. Okay. It's okay. Because you have an inheritance beyond that. You have a safety above that. You have a home in God that transcends now and forever. And this is the simplest of the disciplines. It's the simplest. Just praying, hallowed be thy name. Feel free to change the words. We glorify your being, or we turn everything we are to your creating. Hallowed be your name. And then let your spirit and your body release, detach, and take hold. And then a bunch of offensive, scary threats bombard you. That's okay. That's going to happen. We just stop and we say, hallowed be your name. We release, we detach, and we take hold of the forever love of God.